This week, on Days of Our Mercedes, the Silver Arrows are returning after a long 3-week hiatus to recharge after the Australian Grand Prix. Of course, the Silver Arrows are coming off a solid result from Lewis Hamilton, with Lewis getting his best result of the season with a second place run. Of course, during this 3-week break, Toto Wolff will get an interesting challenge from the team boss of McLaren, Zak Brown. No, Mercedes fans and homosexuals. He's not coming for Lewis's contract. At least not yet. As Zak Brown has challenged Toto Wolff to a celebrity boxing match right before the Las Vegas Grand Prix in November on Thanksgiving weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if this boxing match actually goes through between Toto Wolff and Zak Brown, because it seems like celebrity boxing is becoming the new popular thing that's going on around right now, especially after that boxing match a few years ago between, KSI and Logan Paul. Celebrity boxing's really starting to take over. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I'd say for that boxing match between Toto Wolff and Zak Brown, if it happens, I say let's put the rights to Lewis Hamilton's contract on the line for that match. Yeah, where those two fight it out and the winner gets Lewis Hamilton's contract for 2024. Who knows? Maybe in 2024, we go from Days of Our Mercedes to Days of Our McLaren. No, that's not doing it for you? Meh, I tried. Anyway, though, back to the show. So, of course, during this off time, the leader of men, Sir Lewis Hamilton, he would do a valiant thing. He would go undercover and watch his younger brother Nicholas race sports cars. This during the off time. A great family man of Lewis, watching his sibling race. As during the sports car race, his brother Nicholas would fight to a 6th place finish. Sir Lewis, leader of men. Of course, with all that attention now out of the way, everyone this week will be taking their attention to Baku, to the street circuit. A street circuit where we haven't had a repeat winner at Baku. Every race there has had at least one different winner, with the Silver Arrows having a total of 3 wins. Mainly Lewis only winning 1, Lewis being the only Mercedes driver to win there currently on the roster. The other 2 Mercedes winners are no longer on the team, with Nico Rosberg retired and Valtteri Bottas with Alfa Romeo. But the attention shifts now to Baku in Azerbaijan. So, of course, for Azerbaijan, this would also be the introduction to the sprint races this weekend, as we would have our first sprint race. However, these sprint races would not decide the starting lineup for the race, as we would have qualifying still decide that. So, in other words, F1 changed these sprint races to make it a complete fucking gimmick. Oh look, motorsports, gimmicks in motorsports. I wonder how long until the fans fucking turn on it too, just like NASCAR fans turning on most of the gimmicks in NASCAR right now. But anyway, for this sprint race, we would have Charles Leclerc on the pole for Ferrari. Oh boy, how will Ferrari fuck this one up? So of course, off the start, Leclerc got a good launch with Sergio Perez coming right behind him, and then we would have some contact early on between George Russell and Max Verstappen, where Verstappen and Russell would make contact, but Verstappen would get on by Russell, eventually passing him for 3rd. While out front we would have a battle for the lead, and we would also have a loose wheel fall off from Yuki Tsunoda that just kept rolling, as Yuki Tsunoda picked a fine time to leave me loose wheel. Unfortunate, good news for Yuki and AlphaTauri, this isn't NASCAR, so no one's getting suspended for that. Because if this was NASCAR, that would be a 2-lap penalty for Yuki Tsunoda, and that would also be a 2-week suspension to the Jackman and tire changer, and the tire carrier too. So yeah, good news though, this isn't NASCAR, this is Formula 1. But once we got back underway, Perez would continue on and lead Charles Leclerc over in the sprint race. And in a pretty uneventful sprint race, Sergio Perez surges on to win the race. Leclerc finishes second, and after the race, we would have a bit of a confrontation between George Russell and Max Verstappen, where Verstappen and Russell would have a brief discussion about what happened that ended pretty peacefully. Other than a part of Verstappen calling George Russell a dickhead. Oh look, Max Verstappen and calling drivers dickheads. Name a better combination. But hey, there were no fisticuffs thrown, so it was a simple agree to disagree. And then after the race, Max Verstappen would go on and call George Russell, also not only just a dickhead, he would call him a princess. Max? I'm pretty sure you got the wrong wrong driver Mercedes to call a princess. I mean, everyone would probably agree with you if you said it was Lewis Hamilton that was a princess. Because 90 to 95% of the drama on this Days of Our Mercedes series is on Lewis Hamilton. There's been usually next to no drama on Russell. And if there is any drama, it's usually stuff Russell isn't wrong on. But, well, so yeah, I guess Russell rattled Verstappen's cage by racing him hard. Oof. All I say is, Russell, you better have eyes in the back of your head, because if Verstappen gets the chance, he's probably gonna run you the fuck over. But now, with that gimmick sprint race out of the way, now we turn our attention to the race that actually matters. As Leclerc would have to pull for the Baku street race, and Leclerc would get a strong start right off the bat, with Perez and Verstappen surging right behind. But despite Leclerc's best efforts, the Ferrari's speed was nowhere near fast enough for the Red Bulls, as Perez and Verstappen would surge right on by him. And we'll have a few safety cars for a couple instances with cars blowing engines, but even then, it was still not enough for Ferrari to come close to the pace of the Red Bulls. And for this Ferrari loss, it wasn't even pit strategy that cost them the race this time. There was really nothing Ferrari did wrong. Nobody really fucked up a Ferrari this time. No one botched it. It's just simply the Ferraris are not good enough. Just nobody has the pace to beat the Bulls right now. Like, the only real eventful thing that happened in this race was coming to the white flag, when the pit road was starting to get congested because a couple Red Bull members wanted to climb the fence. Because even though F1 is trying to ban it, Red Bull flat out said, fuck your rules, FIA, we celebrate however the fuck we want. And then during that commotion, we would get a massive miscommunication with track marshals and a bunch of photographers and media members going on pit road, getting the podium celebration ready. And during that time, they didn't even notice that Esteban Ocon was coming to pit lane. And a few members almost got run over by Ocon. So yeah, thank God nobody got run over. But honestly, that wasn't even Red Bull that caused that incident. That was the track marshals and everyone else not paying the fuck attention. That's their own goddamn fault. That's not Red Bull's fault. At least the Red Bull, usually for the celebrations, usually wait until the driver hits the straightaway before they start doing that shit, or when they're starting to come to the line. Like, and also with Ocon coming in that pit incident, that's why, kids, you always look both ways before crossing the street. But in the end, despite Verstappen's best efforts, he was nowhere near fast enough for Sergio Perez. And Checo comes through and gets the win over Max Verstappen. And Verstappen initially looked like he got the fastest lap for about 10 seconds. Until George Russell stole the fastest lap bonus point from Max Verstappen. Oh, that's gonna rattle the Orange Army's cages for sure. Not only did George Russell break an unwritten rule this week about racing Verstappen hard, George Russell also stole a valuable championship point for Verstappen at Baku. All I say is, hey, Verstappen fans, if you lose the championship this year, At least make sure it's by more than 2 points. By at least 2 points. Because whether that point comes back to haunt Verstappen or not is yet to be seen. But oh, that's gonna sting. But yeah, Verstappen ends up second. And Charles Leclerc, despite Ferrari not having the pace, he was able to hold off Fernando Alonso. And Leclerc gets a podium for Ferrari. It gets Ferrari their best result of the season. You've done it, Ferrari. You got a podium. Yay. And for the first time this season, Fernando Alonso will not be on the podium. And this time, Fernando Alonso can't pull politics on this one. There are no politics or no blackmail to pull on Mercedes this time, or even Ferrari. Not this time for Alonso. No podium for you. Come back next week. But yeah. But meantime, Sergio Perez gets the win and becomes the first driver in F1 to have at least now 2 wins in Baku. So now for Sergio Perez, this is now Perez's 6th career win. And the odd thing about this is that 5 of Perez's 6 wins have now come on street circuits, with those 5 being his last 5 wins. And Perez has also won 2 out of 3 street races this season. See, I think it's safe to say Sergio Perez, Checo, is becoming the king of the street circuit. King of the streets. And with the Perez's win, he also cuts in the Verstappen's championship lead. As now Verstappen's championship lead is down to 6 points. Holy shit, is Sergio Perez actually going to try and pull a Nico Rosberg this season? Are we about to have a Mercedes 2016 championship-like battle this season for 2023? I mean, yeah, it's one team dominating, but we could have an interesting title fight between Verstappen and Perez, as Perez is catching into Verstappen's lead. And the good news for Perez and all the Checo fans next week is next week we go to a street circuit again on the streets of Miami. But yeah, Perez gets the win. Now whether he can pull a Rosberg 2016 or not is yet to be seen. But so far, some pretty positive signs. And Verstappen might begin in his own way, if he's letting drivers like George Russell get in his head. Lewis Hamilton and Russell, though, would have pretty disappointing results as they did not have the pace, though. But maybe Russell is starting to get in Supermax's head. But whether that all means anything or not was yet to be seen in this season, with this marathon season. Because like the sands in the hourglass, so too are the days of our Mercedes. Checo Championship 2023, please.